Okay, so let's get right into it. Today, we're going to explore the full and, let's be honest, often misunderstood anatomy of a really unique human organ. Because what most of us think we know about the clitoris, well, that's barely scratching the surface. And what a story it is. Let's just start with one number that might honestly blow your mind: 90%. That's right, 90% of the clitoris is actually internal. It's hidden from view. The vast majority of this organ isn't even visible. Which, immediately brings up the big question, right? If what we can see is just this tiny little fraction of the whole thing, then what on earth does the rest of it look like? And that's exactly what we're here to find out. We're going to go on a journey to uncover its complete structure. So let's start our tour with the part that's most familiar, the external anatomy. But as you're about to see, this is quite literally just the tip of the iceberg. This is the part most people are talking about, the glans clitoris. It's that visible external tip, and it is the absolute epicenter for sensation. But it's so important to remember that this is just one small piece of a much larger system. To get a little more specific, the glans usually looks like a small button or maybe a pea, and its size can actually vary quite a bit, anywhere from 2 to 10 millimeters. You'll find it right where the inner labia meet at the top. But look, the most important fact on this slide is that last one. This is only the beginning of our story. All right, let's move inward. It's time to dive beneath the surface and explore that hidden 90%. And trust me, what we're about to see is a surprisingly large and intricate internal structure. Okay, this is where your whole perspective is about to change. I want you to completely forget that idea of a small button and picture something else entirely. Internally, the clitoris is a large, wishbone-shaped organ that extends deep into the pelvis. This one idea completely changes the scale of what we're talking about. So the first part of this internal structure is called the body, or the corpus. This is the central shaft, and it sits right behind the glans we saw a moment ago. It's about 2 to 3 centimeters long, and it actually makes a sharp turn downwards, kind of like an elbow, connecting the external tip to the deep internal structure. And this is what gives the whole thing that wishbone shape. These are the crura, which literally means legs. And these are the longest, deepest parts of the organ. Get this, each one measures a really substantial 5 to 9 centimeters. Their main job is to anchor the entire structure firmly to the pelvic bone. But hang on, there's one more major component, and it might just be the most surprising part of this whole system. Let's talk about the vestibular bulbs and the pretty incredible connection they create. So the vestibular bulbs are these two almond-shaped masses of erectile tissue, and their location is everything. They don't connect directly to the main body, but instead, they sit on either side of the vaginal opening, almost like they're giving it a hug from the inside. So how do they work? Well, during arousal, these bulbs fill up with blood, and they swell, and as they get bigger, they put pressure on the vaginal canal, but from the inside out. And this is what explains why stimulation inside the vagina can feel so directly connected to clitoral pleasure. It's because this erectile tissue is all part of the same big integrated system. It's all connected. What's really fascinating is that there are actually different types of erectile tissue doing different jobs here. The main body and the crura, that wishbone part, are made of something called corpus cavernosum. It becomes hard and rigid. But the vestibular bulbs are made of something called corpus spongiosum, which acts differently. It gets firm, but stays soft and cushiony. So you have two different functions happening in the very same system. So let's take a step back and put all these pieces together. We've gone from a tiny, visible tip all the way to this sprawling, wishbone-shaped internal structure. And now we can finally see the full anatomy of pleasure. This brings us right back to where we started, to our main metaphor. And it's so true, isn't it? What we typically see really is just the tip of the iceberg. The real story, the bulk of the organ, is this incredible internal structure, the wishbone, the bulbs, all of it working together. And let's end on what makes this organ so incredibly unique. It is the only one in the entire human body whose sole known function is to provide sexual pleasure. It doesn't have another job in reproduction or urination. Its purpose is singular. So, you see, understanding the full, complex anatomy here isn't just a biology lesson. It fundamentally changes our entire perspective, which leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. Knowing this full picture, how does that change our understanding of sexual health and pleasure? It's definitely something worth considering.